Welcome to our second in-game class ever. Our first one was 1 minute ago. That class ended very shortly. Now we're having another one. So there's two things that are important in the end game. There's understanding what to do, and then there's doing it. Right? Okay, you see, you do that. Wait, there's nothing up there. Okay, so we'll do position by position and talk about what to do and so forth. The first three puzzles are training exercises I give my students. The next few puzzles are from actual chess games. One was played 3 days ago by players who were better than me. Much better. Well, maybe not. Well, maybe. Okay, this position I show at chess camp a lot. And then one time I had to go to the hospital because I hurt myself laughing so much at the answers. Okay, so I don't show it anymore. Right? But you guys are better, so I won't laugh as much. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question for the class. And the question is, if you were playing this position, obviously white's going up, white's always going up, don't have to ask. The pawns are blocking each other. If you were playing this, would you rather have white or black?
What?
And would you rather have it be your move or your opponent's move?
Doesn't matter.
No talking. Okay, so raise your hand if you have an answer. You, incorrect. What's your answer? Okay, you, also incorrect. Yeah. My candid camera? Is this a candid camera? I can see the camera. You again. What's your name?
Caden.
Caden is incorrect.
It's a draw.
It doesn't matter whose turn it is?
Yes.
He's confusing me. All right, who agrees with him? Man, tough class. One person. You agree with yourself? I like that. Extra credit. I do that too. All right, who doesn't agree with him? Okay, Archer, can you not touch the cup anymore? Just throw it out. Yeah, you just make a noise with it. Yeah, okay. All right, who doesn't agree with him but sitting close? You? Do you agree with him?
No.
Okay, so you don't agree, so you're going to take a color and you're going to take a move and you think you'll win? I mean, what do you think, both sides lose?
If it's black's move,
Okay.
and he plays king f4.
Okay, so you want to have black and you want to move first, then you're going to win. Okay, hold on. We'll get to you in a second. What's your name, Caden?
K4, KD5.
Right. Yeah, I know. You're telling me.
Zexwang.
What? Wang Chung?
Zexwang.
Oh, do you agree with him?
No. Kf4, KD5.
Have a seat. Have a seat. Okay. So he's saying if king f4, white plays king d5. What do you think about that position? What's that?
What is winning?
I was talking to him. What do you think?
What is winning?
Right, but what he meant to say was black is winning, but he's confused. Right? You meant black is winning.
It's a draw. It doesn't matter whose turn it is. I think white
Okay, so after king f4, king d5, white is winning. King f4 is a mistake, right? Okay, you agree. Are you going to play better? Yeah.
Oh, if I want to be white, I want to play king c5.
Okay, and you think you'll win?
Yes.
Okay, the guy next to you says you won't. So let's go over here, Caden. Yeah. He plays king c5 and says he'll beat you.
Kf6.
Okay,
And then I play king d5.
okay.
Kf7. And I take the pawn. And then Ke7. Opposition. Okay then.
Also, next week, Caden's going to teach the class. Yeah. The truth hurts. All right, so Caden, like everybody else in the class, is right about everything. This position is a draw, no matter whose turn it is, like he said, although you can lose if you want to. Which one of you did? Okay, if you play king d5, have a seat. If you play king d5, is that a good move for white?
No.
No, because after king f4, black wins. And if it's black's move, and he plays king f4, white plays king d5, and he wins. Zugzwang. King c5 is the best move, and now black has to play defense, which Caden was good at. He let white win the pawn, and then he played king e7. And then, if white moves his king, black can follow him. And white can't do anything. White can cry a little. So eventually, white pushes his pawn, and eventually, it's stalemate. Hooray. Okay, and that's a draw, because I said so. So in this position, if both sides play correctly, it's a draw, but it's easy to lose. And in fact, after king c5, if I'm playing a small child who's not very strong in a chess camp, yeah, like half of you, then I play king g4, giving me excellent winning chances. Unfortunately, that move loses. But you gotta try something, right? Okay, white has one move that wins. Who can raise their hand and tell me? Archer. Incorrect.
D6.
Where?
King d6.
King d6 wins. You're attacking the pawn. The only defense of the pawn is here, although in chess camp, a lot of kids go here. That's why it's chess camp. And that move's not allowed because there's a pawn here. So, and after here, white plays king d5. And when you see this position, and you're like, is it a win or a loss? It depends whose turn it is. If it's white's move, white's losing. If it's black's move, black is losing. So actually this should be a draw, but both sides can blunder. And in fact, not only does king c5 draw, so does going back. But king c5 wins the pawn, and king going back loses the pawn. Losing the pawn is still a draw, because we get the opposition, as was pointed out earlier. When the kings are like this, we just keep following the king. And eventually black gives up and moves his pawn. And in this position, we have 4 legal moves, but only this one is good. You always go straight back. It's easy to remember. Back and forth. And then it's stalemate. Hooray. And if Nigel Short was playing, he would win. Did anybody get that? Did you get that or no? Nobody ever? Nothing? No. Nigel Short is on a rampage, as he always is. He's a grandmaster you never heard of. He says stalemate should be a win. He's actually mad about it. He says white can't move, white should lose. And in checkers, he's correct. If you're playing checkers and you're stalemated, you lose. He's like, you have a king, your opponent has a million pieces, you can't move and you tie? He's like, why don't you win? If stalemate was a win, that would change a lot of chess. A lot of chess would be different, a lot. And not only that, I can't show this anymore because king c5 wins. If stalemate's a win, then king c5 wins, because white's going to win the pawn and stalemate him. Okay, but yeah, then king c3 loses. Yeah. Man, Nigel's got a point. It's a terrible point, but he has a point. Okay, next game. Okay, this one is much more difficult. Caden was talking about opposition, okay, but he's sitting too close to me. I want distant opposition. That's why Karen sat there. Distant opposition. See? And then Caden is diagonal opposition.
I get it.
You do? Wow.
Yeah.
First time ever. Okay, now, in this position, actually, I probably said it was the wrong person to move. So let me... Oh, wait, I can't do anything about it? Let me see if I can... Oh, I did it right? I did something right? Wow. I can't even believe I did this right.
Yeah, you did it right.
Okay, if it's white's turn to move, white goes nom yum yum. Yeah, I didn't eat dinner, so I approve of that. Okay, so black is confused because no matter what he does, he loses his pawn. Right? Yeah. There's no way you can save your pawn. No way.
Yeah, that's true.
No, that's why I said it. Okay, so you know you're going to lose your pawn because you can't save it. So you have to lose it in the best possible way. Okay? So, for example, if you go by the Finegold rule, because I made it up, even though I probably stole it, if white has a king 2 squares in front of his pawn, then he's winning, because I said so. Therefore, if white takes the pawn with his king, he's definitely winning. Those positions are always winning. The reason is, you can't get the opposition. You're like, oh, king d7, I have the opposition. And then in this position, when white plays e4, you don't have the opposition anymore and you lose. It's your turn to move. Okay? So when the king is 2 squares in front of the pawn, there's one move that draws. King takes pawn. I don't think that's going to happen. Although in some kids' tournaments. No. Okay. Now, I just gave you the answer because I'm the nicest guy ever. The answer is black has to stop king takes pawn. What's the only way to do it? Raise your hand if you know. It has to be somebody else other than the same 2 people. You in the back, all the way from Florida.
D4?
D4. You're going to lose the pawn anyway, and you want white's pawn to move up. Okay, that way white can't get his king in front of his pawn. Although he just did, because I typoed. I can't go back? Okay. Okay, so obviously we take the pawn. And now, this is the point of the whole exercise, understanding distant opposition. Most of you understand that king f6 is a draw, but king f6 is illegal. But it is a draw. And that's the regular opposition. We need the distant opposition. You with your hand up.
King F8.
King f8, the only move that draws. Okay? Every other move loses because I said so. Now, we're ready. No matter where white goes, we're going to go to the same place and get the opposition.
How is B5 and 7 the option?
Sorry?
How's...
What, over here?
I mean C7 and...
Oh, you're not a grandmaster, you don't understand why. Yeah. If you're a grandmaster, you just go over here. Then the guy goes over here, then you look at each other, you're like, yeah, we're grandmasters. Good job. Okay, so white plays the trickiest move ever. I shouldn't show you because it's too tricky. King e4. Now black has one move that draws, and there's 5 moves. If you were here, you would see nobody's raising their hand and they're all crying. Because they know if I call on them, it'll be very embarrassing. And Karen's like, don't call on me, don't call on me, don't call on me. How do we maintain the distant opposition? You.
King E8.
King e8, the only move that draws. Now, doesn't matter where white goes, black can get the opposition. King d5, opposition. King e5, opposition. King f5, opposition. Now, normally when I talk about this book, I talk about it, in the ether, right? You agree, right, Archer?
Yeah.
However, I can now talk about this book and it's in the next room. So you can prove me wrong if I'm right. There was a game played between Fischer and Carez in the 1960s, and that was the end of the game, is they had a position like this, and he maintained the distant opposition with that, so they agreed to a draw. Those guys are the best players in the world, so they knew. It wasn't this exact position, it was actually a knight pawn, and like this pawn was here, this king was here, and this king was here, and he played here. Because actually this is funny, in this position, if it was black to move, which it's not, but if it was black to move, he has one move that draws. How do we maintain our distant opposition?
King D8.
King d8, not raising his hand. Right, king d8's a draw. If we move our king up, like you guys like to do, well I guess you can't, because it's now your turn. Okay, if you move your king up, I get the opposition, and now you get to move your king away and I go forward. The rule for king and pawn versus king, both sides want their king in front of the pawn. If white's king is in front of the pawn, he might win. If black's king is in front of the pawn, it'll be a draw. And when you have this position, that's the opposition. You want it to be the other person's move, so you can follow them. You can try. I guess I can't follow them. Okay, and now you move up and you win. Hooray! Don't make noise. Okay, and it's an easy win. Now these are the next 4 moves. Those are my favorite 4 moves. Then you can promote to a rook in practice. I make a bishop because I'm so good I can move the bishop. Yeah, right?
Sure.
Yeah, there you go. That guy knows the right
It would
answer.
be a draw.
Okay, and even though I might make a bishop, which super grandmaster would promote to a knight?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There you go, Cargo. There's a guy who's paying attention to the recent events. Okay, next game. Okay, this is our last fun puzzle, then we're going to get serious. That was fun, this is serious. White's 2 pawns up, that's pretty good, right? If it's white's move, every move wins. Every move wins? Not every move wins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 moves win? Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Okay, but it's black's move. That makes it tougher. With black to move, black actually can draw, but he only has one way to do it. And there's 6 legal moves. We need Holden in here to give us the percentage. 1 out of 6. Right? Anybody? Anyone?
What? 13.3%.
That doesn't sound right. I've never heard of that. So it can't be right. I'm going to call on Alan. 16.666. Correct. Very good. 16.6 with a line over it. Okay,
I
right?
get it. Yeah.
What? Okay. So if you just guess, you're not going to be right. If you guess King A6, that's a tough chess life for you. Okay, so what's the only move that draws? Raise your hand if you know. All the way in the back.
King c4.
King c4. And I have a funny thing to tell you. I did that right too. If it was black's turn to move here, now he's losing.
Oh.
What do we call that?
The
Zugzwang, yeah. So whoever's turn it is to move, they don't want to move. And if white moves, black's like, oh boy, I win both of the pawns. And vice versa. So white moves one of his pawns up, and then moves his king up, but he's not quick enough. And draw. And we'll get that stalemate again we looked at earlier. If you don't play king c4, and you take the pawn because you're greedy, now your king can't get back in time. Oh, too bad. And white's king gets here. And what's the only winning move for white? Archer?
King d4.
King d4.
Five.
Bam!
5.
No, king d5. Yeah. Opposition. So this is a funny position. Looks like this draws, but only this draws. Most people just take without thinking. Not thinking, not a good idea. Unless you're playing me. Okay, now we're going to do real life. These things actually happened. This game was played before you were born, even if you're older than me. And it was by me. It's hard to understand. Man, they put D93 over my picture. Okay, this was played in a country that no longer exists. West Germany. What's it called now? Germany, right, yeah. It was West Germany then. Now, I have a funny story about this. This was in Dortmund. And recently, some random employee, we'll call him Alan, he said, did you play in the chess leagues in Europe? And I was like, yeah. And one of the leagues I played in was the Bundesliga. Most people know the Bundesliga from soccer. Yeah, he's like, wait, Bundesliga, I've heard that before. But there's also Bundesliga in chess, which is also, that's probably the best league in chess of all the countries. All the top players in the world play in Bundesliga, including me, even though I was the worst. Anyway, I'm playing in Bundesliga for Dortmund. That's the name of the team, that's where they are. And coincidentally, they started organizing Super Grandmaster tournaments, so I got invited to the lowest groups ever. Yeah. And so I got to play in these GM tournaments because I played in the Bundesliga team. Anyway, one day, I asked my team captain, who lived in Dortmund, and he was German. In fact, his name was Jürgen Grasstadt. I remember his name. Yeah. And I said, hey, yo, I said, the Berlin Wall, is that going to come down soon? And he said, that wall's never going to come down. And then 2 days later, the wall was down. So he was slightly not correct. Yeah, 2 days. It was gone. Yeah. Okay, so this game was played. This has a very strange material thingy. He's got a bishop and knight. That's nothing to sneeze at. He's got a bishop and knight, and I have a rook, and I have an extra pawn. My pawns are doubled, but his pawns are weak, and his knight is pinned. So I don't know who's better. Leave me alone. I played this game a long time ago. Okay, I played king g1 attacking his rook. Okay, and his rook is pinning my pawn on g2. And here's what I wanted to do. I want to play rook f4 check, and then he can't block with his knight because it's illegal. So he'll move his king, and then I'll take his knight. Yes. But his rook is stopping me. So I said, oh, if you move your rook away, then I'll play rook f4 check. Smart. So what should black play based on all that analysis I just gave you?
Bishop c6.
Bishop c6. Has nothing to do with what I said, but it's a pretty good move. I think bishop c6 is actually the best move. Yeah.
Did your opponent miss it?
Oh yeah. Well, he played trickier. He forgot something. Tricks are for kids. So I thought you were going to say rook f5, but that was what I was trying to get you to say. But bishop c6 is probably better. Okay, he played the trickiest move ever. What's the trickiest move on the board? Incorrect. You.
Rook takes g2.
Bam! Yeah, and I was like, all right. Then he pinned and forked and skewered. I don't know what it's called. I'm confused. He did everything, right?
Yeah.
No, it looks good. Looks good, but it ain't good.
Oh, because you can give it.
What? All right, so let's analyze and find the winning variation for white.
Rook takes knight. No.
Is that descriptive notation? Rook takes knight. This is good analysis by the class. Rook takes knight, nope, and then quiet. All right, so the person who said rook takes knight, how about some analysis? Then what?
King takes knight. I mean rook.
Yeah?
And king f3.
Uh-huh.
And then bishop takes rook.
Uh-huh.
And then king takes bishop.
And you like that for white?
Yes.
Okay, I agree. And not only do I agree, but he shouldn't play bishop takes rook because my rook's pinned. And you know what he played? Bishop takes rook. Okay? Then he did something you've never done before, especially the kids, maybe the adults. When he played bishop takes e4, I said, your time is out. So I won. Yes. So I win. Okay, and I'm winning. He should play king f7. And then white only has one winning move. And there's a lot of moves, so it's hard to find it. White has one move that wins. Who can find it? Archer can find it.
King e3.
King e3, why is that different than king f4? That would lead to the same position, right? Therefore, by the powers of math, it can't be right, unless I'm wrong. You have to stop your opponent from doing what they want to do.
Oh, I see.
Wait, somebody was going to say something. No? All right, you.
H5.
H5. Yeah, he's going to play king g6. Now he's not going to play king g6. Yeah, it's true. So if I move my king, and he takes everything and plays here, now I'm not winning. In fact, am I losing?
Maybe.
No, I should draw. Yeah, I can draw. Yeah. This should be a draw. Yeah, let's see what the engine says. The engine knows everything. Draw. Wow, king f6 loses and king f5 draws? Oh, because he oppositions me. He plays here, and then he plays a4, and it's my move.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. And then he wins like this. Wow. Yeah, that's not. Yeah, because if we trade pawns, I lose. Yeah, this isn't good.
It's a waste.
Yeah, so I would have to be careful if I made mistakes. I better not make mistakes. So in this position, I was expecting king, and then I play h5, and then his king is stuck. He can't go anywhere. But instead he took, and I took, and his time ran out before I took. The computer's going to say I'm super winning. It's going to go really high the numbers. Numbers you've never seen before. So when you're plus 11, plus 18, and it's even material, that's good. Yeah. And actually, plus 52. Now, the reason white's winning without doing any analysis is based on what chess theory in the endgame? What did you learn before this? Have a seat. What did you learn before this class that tells you white's winning? What's the rule? What's the don't do that. What's the thing you heard where you know white's winning? No, nobody knows nothing? What about you at home? What? Speak louder, you're really far away. No, I still can't hear you. Terrible. No, not Zugzwang. Anybody?
Checkmate?
Adjacent pawns.
What's that?
Adjacent pawns.
Jason Pawns is good, but that's not why you're winning. But that's good.
Pawn island?
Best answer so far.
Double pawns?
Nobody has double pawns.
Pawn
So no.
More active king.
More active king is correct, but that's not the answer I wanted, so it's not correct. But yeah, white's king is better than black's, but actually, if black's king was better, white could still win. As is shown in the game Andrei Sokolov-Korchnoi from 30 years ago. Nobody's heard it before? You've all heard it, you forgot. Outside passed pawn. Nothing. Okay, there's the outside of the board, then there's the inside of the board. This is the inside of the board, and this is the outside. You're almost off the board, right? In the end game, not in the opening, this is an end game lecture, you want outside passed pawn. Then the guy's king has to go to both sides of the board. Impossible. If the guy has two connected center pawns, then you got no problem. Your king's right in front of him. So what's going to happen is, if we trade these pawns and his king runs over here, and my king wins this pawn, I'm going to win. Because my king's close to there and his king's on the edge of the board. So that's why the computer says plus 53. It's like, oh man, white's going to win. And there's a famous game between Korchnoi and Sokolov, where Sokolov went into this dead lost ending, and then Korchnoi made fun of him. And Korchnoi made fun of everybody. But Sokolov was third ranked in the world. And he's like, this guy's ranked third in the world, doesn't know basic endgames. Now, I'll show you a position so you understand more what I'm talking about. Well, maybe I won't. Let's see. Oh, I left chess base? So new position setup. This will be very easy. You guys will be like, well, of course. I've never been, everything's so simple. Okay, in the opening, in the middle game, this is good for black. White has two isolated pawns on the side of the board. Black has two center pawns. In the end game, black resigns. The end game is different, because I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go here. Good luck having your king move both directions. Good luck with that. Okay, and your pawns, I don't care about your pawns. My king's right in front of him.
Clone your king.
Yeah, you got nothing. If I turn Kibitzer, it's going to laugh at black's position. It'll get to plus 50 soon. See, it did really quickly. Now it announces checkmate. It's like ridiculous. Okay, and that's because we have outside passed pawns. Outside's good because the other guy has to go all the way to the edge of the board to stop him, ignoring the rest of the board. So remember that in the endgame, outside passed pawns. Let's see, now what do? I do this. Okay, this was a comedy of errors. Or as Karen would say, your best comedy. Because she doesn't like my regular comedy. This was a drawn bishop and pawn ending, but I don't want to draw. Wah. Probably I should have played better earlier. Yeah, okay. This should be a draw, but I didn't want to draw, so I decided not to draw. My opponent played bishop e4, and I did a lot of thinking, not my strong suit. And I was like, I can win, because I don't see anything. But if I saw something, I wouldn't have won. I would have played the right move and drawn. But I was like, this king and pawn ending is winning. So I skewered his king and bishop, and then I took it. And he took back, and I played g4. And I said, oh boy, I'm going to queen. I'm the best. And if he stops me, I'm going to queen that pawn. Just like I just showed you, remember? With the outside pawns. And I was like, yay, I'm winning. I'm the best.
His king could get your pawn.
What do you want him to do?
His king could get your pawn.
Yeah, but make a move. What move are you going to make? You don't know. What? Archer.
King b3.
King b3. Now you're not stopping that pawn. And I'm going to queen with check. Yeah. Just before you queen. Hooray! And also I'll queen that later. You know, when I feel like it. So I said if he plays king takes b4, I queen my f pawn. If he plays king b3, I queen my b pawn. If he plays king d5, I queen both my pawns.
King takes b4.
Queen takes b4, solid. f5, f6, f7, f8. That's my plan. I have a good plan. You don't like my plan?
Oh, that plan's good. D5?
d5. Now, did he play d5 or he played a mistake? Yeah, he played d5. And I'm like, whatever. I'll queen.
D4?
Yeah, he actually should play d4, but he made a mistake here. After d4, black's better. Probably a draw, but black's better. He played a3, after which I'm better. Also probably a draw, but what I'm better. And I didn't realize when he plays a3, and obviously I take it, his king has a lot of access to escort his pawn home. However, he doesn't need that access yet. He should play d4. Now king takes e4 is a blunder. And now he plays d3, and now he plays a3. Because he wants to play king c3. And now this is terrible. I queen, and he wins my queen. That's not very nice of him. And he checks me, and then when my king goes here or here, he checks me again and takes my queen. The truth hurts. So actually, after d4 check, which he should have played, I would move my king back. Okay, and then it's the same as the game, except he didn't give this pawn away, which is what he did. So he played a3 check first, a3, this is a mistake. And now I move my king back, and this is actually very funny. Okay, and here he made the worst move in chess history. Okay, what he should do is he should check. I go here, he goes here, I go here, he queens. He goes here, I queen. He goes here, I move my king, and he queens. Okay, now what should happen is he should have a pawn here, and I should have a pawn there. But he gave his a pawn away. Then I'm in trouble because that a pawn's pretty strong. So he should have done that. Now, of course, white's obviously 2 pawns up. Okay, maybe it's a draw, but I'll be 2 pawns up. Okay, so instead he played for tricks. He made a horrible, 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 horrible blunder here. You know when that's the correct thing to do?
When you're playing you.
When you're playing me. Yeah. So this is funny. We had a lot of grandmasters watching the game in IMs. It was at the World Open, and obviously we're one of the last games to finish. The game was going several hours. Nobody else is playing, and they're like, man, these guys are terrible. I wonder, they're probably thinking that too. Like, Ben traded bishops, that was bad, the guy played a3, that was bad. Then when they saw this move, they must have really been mad. He played d2, and his reasoning was very simple. He thought if I went here, he would go here and then mate me. Good reasoning. I queen, and he mates me, and everybody claps, except me. Okay. And he thought, well, Ben's probably not going to fall for that, but I'll give him a chance to fall for it. And if Ben goes here, we just transpose to the last variation. Queen, queen, here. And white's better, but maybe black can draw. Okay. Let's see what I don't know what the engine says. I don't know. Yeah, it says white's better, maybe black can draw. Okay. Okay. All right. So he figured it's the same thing, but he'll give himself a mating chance in case I blunder. After d2, I made a move he didn't see. Then I had to give him Kleenex, because crying ensued. After my next move, black resigned.
King D2.
C2.
King C2. King C2.
Yeah, he didn't see king c2. Whoops. Man, that stops everything. Not good. He should have played king c3 here, or e2 check. And then it would have been the same thing, but I couldn't play king c2. So after the game, I thought I was great, and then the computer said, man, you're terrible. You guys blunder every move. So by me playing really badly, I won. Yay. I made him play badly. He had to play on my level. Yeah. That game wasn't a good game, because there was no reason for him to play a3. Let's go back, and let's not play a3. Remember when he played a3 here? Boo! He should play d4, and just play the same way. King here, check, here, queen, queen. Now, his pawn's here, this pawn's hanging, that pawn's pretty strong. Yeah, now maybe black's winning. Let's see. Oh, +2 for black. Boo!
+4.
Yeah, that means black's winning. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah. So that's what he should have done, but he played a3 too early, giving all of his pawns away. So I totally missed the a3 idea. I thought after this that I just stop his pawn. What's the problem? But obviously after here, I don't stop the pawn. And then I lose my queen.
That's a problem.
Yeah. So by seeing nothing, I won the game because he also saw nothing. Yay. And then he wins my queen. No, what a world. Yeah. Okay, great game for everybody.
Except the one.
Except for both of us. Okay, this was long ago. This was against. Who was this against? Shh. The average age of the class is, 4. Let's see. Average IQ 5.
2 days ago.
This was against Chris Ward, I think. Pretty sure it was Chris Ward. Anyway, this was adjourned. You guys know what that means. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, they would adjourn games. You're playing your game, then they stop it. Then the next day you finish it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm serious.
What if someone messed it up?
What if someone messed it up? No, they write down the position.
Oh.
Yeah. Then you use your friends and computers, and there's no computers then, to analyze it.
Okay.
Which is illegal, but everybody did it. Okay. Now this was adjourned. I analyzed it by myself, and he analyzed it with all his friends. And you know what they say about too many chefs? He's nodding. He doesn't know what they say about that. Okay, now this is actually a win, but it's pretty cool. So it looks like a draw because everything's the same. Okay, and I played king g4, and he just thought he'll move his king back and forth forever. So he did. Okay, and I played this move. Bam! I want to take this pawn. So he didn't realize I could let him take my pawn. He thought this was a very important pawn. So therefore, I would never move my bishop away from here because he could just take my pawn. But that's exactly what I did. Now let's analyze. Okay, he's got king b6. He didn't do that. I take. Now what do you do?
Bishop takes. Resign.
Bishop takes, here, and then I do this. I'm too quick. Or he could play bishop h2, and I go check, and here, and that's a good piece. And then I go here. Good plan, right? Okay. So he was like, I don't like any of that. I have an idea. I'm gonna stop bishop h4. And he did. What did he do?
He played f3.
He played f3. Now bishop h4 is not a good move because, he would take it. I don't win. Go here to draw now. Okay. So I took his pawn, and now he's like, oh boy, you take my pawn, I'm gonna take your pawn. And I'm like, all right, I'll take the other pawn. Now the reason this is funny is if the black bishop is here or here, this is a draw. But it's here, so I win. That's not a good square. And the reason is, I want to queen my pawn, and he wants to take it with his bishop. Then it's a draw. So if his bishop was here, let's say, he could move his bishop. And if I move my bishop out of the way, he could go back. But he can't do that now. He can't go back to g3. And if he wants to stop my pawn from queening, which he does, and he goes to that diagonal, I get a tempo on his bishop. So that's the worst square ever. The worst. So if after here, I play this, he runs his king over, but too slow. Rawr. And so what he did was, he played some move, and he kept running his king over.
Oh.
Oh. Good game.
But I analyzed all that the night before. Yeah. So yeah, turns out this position's actually winning for white, but he didn't see any of that. But I figured it all night. I was analyzing all night. I'm like, this wins, this wins, this wins. I had no computer, but I was right. He didn't see anything. He thought I was going to go here and here and here. So that's why he played this. He was like, yes, I stopped that crazy idea, the one I never saw ever. That doesn't work. Okay, so that was a win for me, even though I only had 2 pawns left. Because why? I had a pawn on this side and a pawn on that side. That's something for you to learn at home. They're not going to learn here, so you guys can learn something. Outside passed pawns, you can't stop both of them. These pawns are close together. I can stop both of them. Right? My king's stopping both of them. So when your pawns are far away from each other, we have a name for that. Pawns on opposite sides of the board. For example, if I told you it was bishop and 4 pawns against bishop and 3 pawns, and you had the 4 pawns, you'd want them on both sides of the board. If you have 4 on the same side against 3 on the same side, that's hard to win. If they're on different sides, your opponent has to be, which pawn is he queening? Then you have good winning chances. You always want pawns on both sides of the board when you're trying to win. In the opening and middle game, you want to have a nice center. But in the end game, you want pawns on the outside so your opponent can't stop them. Okay, this game was played on the 8th and today's the 12th. 4 days old. And Ivanchuk beats Yanish Giri today. Your 2 favorite players, right? No. Okay, so in this position, this is looking good for Ivanchuk. Ivanchuk has 2 pawns, and his opponent has 1. 2 is more than 1. And Ivanchuk played a fork. Knight e4, forking the 2 pieces. Also, it saves his e-pawn, because you can't take the e-pawn, your knight's hanging. So Duda, who's a grandmaster from Poland, 2,700, you still never heard of him. He traded knights. And Ivanchuk's like, oh boy, I'm stopping that pawn with the one that could possibly queen, but he's not stopping that one. And I'm a pawn up. Looks good, right? Right. Now, I just gave a lesson to the person who works here, and it was an endgame lesson. Then I do an endgame lecture. Okay, I guess I'm old, I teach endgames. And I told him, when you have nothing left, what's a good way to draw the game?
Stalemate.
Stalemate. Can this pawn move? No. Okay, so if we can somehow get rid of these guys, we have stalemate chances. That's exactly what he did. So he played ace h6, then he played h7, and now it looks like white resigns. I'm going to queen, and I stopped you from queening.
How have you played?
However, just like me today, black's bishop is overworked. That bishop is stopping the queen, and it's defending the pawn. Overworked in the endgame.
Oh, you could
He's all choked up. Archer,
Bishop E3.
he played bishop takes e3. And Ivanchuk's like, I don't care, I'm gonna be a bishop up in the endgame. Okay, now, if this queen magically left the board, stalemate. Right? Yeah. Okay, now actually, more than one move draws here, but this is by far the coolest way to draw. You gotta play the coolest way, not the most boring way. You're smiling too much, so
Queen E5?
then I take it and then you cry. Because your king has d3 and f3.
Ah,
You unstalemated him. See, trying is the first step to failure. You with the right answer.
Queen H1.
That's what he did. Then if you take it, it's stalemate. Therefore, he didn't take it.
What if you let him take it and then...
Yeah, he played king here. Now if you trade queens, black wins.
Oh.
Bathroom's down the hall. It is. There's two of them. Archer.
Queen E4.
Yeah. Bam! And the truth hurts. So when your opponent has nothing left, they try to get stalemated. And Ivanchuk's like, all right, stalemate. And then Nigel Short said, black wins. You got a queen and bishop, the guy's got nothing. Yeah. Now you don't have to send the stalemate, you could go here, right? But you're not going to win this endgame. Well, maybe against some of you. But this is the most drawn endgame ever. You can't lose even if you want to. Well, you could run over here. Then you would lose. But if you stay in the corner, you can't lose. All right, Ivanchuk's still winning the tournament. Okay, now, this is a little more difficult. This is a game I played before you were born. Now, this position should probably be a draw, but I prefer black for two reasons. I have a passed pawn, he doesn't have any, and he has double pawns, I don't have any. So I'd rather have black. The computer's like, come on, I can draw this. Okay, and I told the computer to be quiet. I'm giving a lecture over here. Right. Okay, so my opponent played in the center. Hooray for my opponent. Bishop d4. He's like, you want some of this? And the answer was yes. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how to win, and I can't figure it out. If I push my pawn to c3, he'll play king d3 and win my pawn. I like the way this is set up here. It sort of stops his king, right? You know what I mean? All right, and it's a passed pawn. But I'm trying to figure out what to do. I couldn't figure anything. Then I found a trick. No talking. Turn around. And he fell right into my trick. He should have realized, why is he tricking me? Instead, he was like, boy, what a dumb opponent. He's seen me play before. So I attacked his rook. He didn't see it, and I took it. No, not really. Okay, now white has two obvious moves here. Raise your hand and tell me what the two obvious moves for white are.
There and there.
White has two, raise your hand and say what are the two most obvious moves for white. You.
Rook C2 and Rook C3.
Correct. Now, if Rook C3 was a good move, then Bishop A3 is silly. Why don't I play Bishop A3 and he plays Rook C3 and move it away again? Why would I do that? Unless I'm tricking him. So he should say, wow, my opponent's higher rated than me. Why would he do that? And he should play Rook C2, and the computer says it should be a draw. I would have still won, but it took me like 100 moves. Instead, he fell into my trap. Played Rook C3. After Rook C3, probably white's losing. Probably.
Bishop
Oh,
E2.
Bishop E2.
I did play Bishop B2. He saw that. He's like, so?
But
And I called the director over and I said, you can't say that. And then it turned out somebody was holding up a Peter Gabriel album, he was just pointing it out. Right, Karen? You know, so? Yeah. Wesley So wasn't born yet, so I can't make a joke. 92. Man, he really wasn't born yet. Man, he wouldn't be born for like 4 more years. Wow. Okay, so now the winning move is shocking. I really shouldn't show you if you're under 12. So most of you have to leave the room. The winning move is one of the last moves you would play.
C3? C2.
C3 is bad because of king d3, that's correct. But c3 is just a bad move.
Bishop C1.
If my student did this move, I'd yell at them, but it wins, so it's a good move. It looks like it makes white's position better. That's why it looks dumb.
Oh, bishop takes bishop.
Yeah, he's like, makes my positions better? Ooh, call on me. Bishop takes d4. Now, I just made his center perfect from the double pawns. And now I made the only good move. We gotta break up those pawns. What's that?
F5.
F5, yeah. Now he has a problem. Problem is, I'm gonna play king d5 or to c5. So, for example, he could play e5. That's what most of the people do when I show them this position. Then I go here. Now what would you do?
Something.
Something. Archer.
King E3.
King e3. And then I go here. And you can't do anything. Now here I come. And then you're going to have a lot of fun defending these pawns. It'll be the most fun you ever had. And this is what he should do, and the computer says like plus 1.3 for black. Okay, but he thought he could kick my king out of d5. He's like, no problem. He played king e3. And then when I took, he took with his king, and I can't play king d5. He's like, what's the problem? So his plan, he'll play d5 check, he'll play king d4, play rook takes c4, looks good. Then I played the winning move.
Rook E8.
Rook e8 hanging my c pawn. Never. No, you don't like that?
No.
Rook e8 was your idea?
No.
No.
Um,
So he wants to play d5 and king d4. I can stop king d4. I was stronger than him. Where can I put my king where it stops king d4?
what's...
Use your imagination. Incorrect. You.
King D6.
King d6. Now if he plays d5, I'll play king c5. And then I'll be like, hey, get your king out of there so I can win. After king d6, he did something none of you would ever do in this position or consider.
Resign.
Correct. He gave up, which slightly surprised me, slightly. Problem is, I'm going to go rook check, and he's going to go here, and I'm going to go there. And then he's going to lose. And the computer says, wow, you're winning. Computer's pretty smart. Yeah, you have to go look, yeah. Was it like white or black?
-1.82.
What's that?
Negative 1.78.
Yeah. That's if he plays perfect. Man, some of those moves are weird. It'll get bigger and bigger for black once it realizes how good black's position is. The reason black's doing well is white's king is on e4, but he can't stop king d5. This pawn is strong, this pawn isn't. And most importantly, my rook is behind my pawn, his is in front of my pawn. And this is something you learned a long time ago. Rooks belong behind passed pawns, not in front. If your rook's in front of a passed pawn, what are you going to do with it? You're going to move it away, and the guy's going to queen his pawn? You're going to keep it there, where it doesn't do anything? That's not a good rook. So by me getting my king up the board, and what's important, one important variation, if he plays d6, if I take his pawn, he'll play king d4. You agree. So what should I do?
Don't take it.
Don't take his pawn. There's more than one winning move. This is the most fun. That forces his king to the worst square ever. And then I could go take it with a rook. With a very easy win. This will be much bigger plus. These will be huge. +3, +4, mate in 1. Well, I'll get mate in 2. Yeah. You know, it's equal material and it says +3, that's bad. Huge winning advantage. So by straightening out his pawns and then playing f5 and destroying them, I got my king to d5 by force. My rook was better than his rook. And he basically traded off the one piece that was making sure my king was never getting in, his bishop on d4. Now my pawn can move, my king can move. He needed that bishop. So after f5, he's in a lot of trouble. But he didn't expect bishop takes d4 because that looks dumb, making his pawns better, and then I destroy them. It's like the openings where you play hyper modern. The kids know what I'm talking about.
No.
Yeah. Hyper modern chess is you let your opponent take the center, then you crush it. Okay? Yeah. when you were taught chess, you're like E4, E5, E4, E5, E4, E5. Hypermodern chess is you let white play E4 and D4 and Z4, then you take all those pawns. Okay, sometimes it works. When it works, it's great. When they crush through the center, that's bad. Okay, and that's why opens like the Grunfeld exist. You give the guy this. You give the guy the center, and then you crush it. Okay, least but not last. Okay, so this is backwards? This is backwards. Okay. Now, this is the end of a puzzle a friend of mine in Belgium showed me, but the answer is wrong. This part's right, the beginning is wrong. So I cut off the beginning, and now it's right. I improved his problem. Okay, so this is really cool. So if we go back to the move 1, his answer doesn't work. Now his answer works. Okay, so in this position, black is actually drawing if he plays the correct move. But we're going to play the incorrect move. F3, breaking one of my very important rules. They're yelling at home, they're screaming the answer. Never play F3. Okay, here it's a joke because black did it. Okay, now white is winning, but it's not easy. Okay, and that's why it was a good puzzle, except he was wrong at the beginning. Actually, H5 draws, but he didn't know that. But I have an engine, so I know it. This was invented in 1986, so he didn't know that. He had no engine. Okay, after F3, white's winning. And the way to win, I'll give you a hint, because if I don't give you a hint, we'll be here till tomorrow. No, I'll give you a hint. Who saw, oh actually the kids haven't seen the movie anymore. You saw it, I think. Who saw the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer? Oh. See, when the movie came out, everybody raised their hand. Now the kids are like, what's that? It came out a long time ago. I saw it in the theater before it came out, because I was a grandmaster. No talking. If you saw the movie Searching for Bobby Fischer, you can try to solve this. Otherwise you can't. You guys remember the very end of the movie?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is a similar answer, except this problem was made 30 years before the movie, but that's not the point.
Wait, white's going up, right?
Yeah.
9H3?
White's going up. I thought NH3 was good, but it didn't smell good. You know why?
Knight takes F3.
Because it's NH3. No, anybody? The adults?
Knight
Okay,
takes F3.
what?
Knight takes F3.
No, but the chemistry joke, NH3.
Uh,
Alright, knight takes F3, correct. That's the only move that wins. If you play knight H3, I'm going to go take your pawn over here. And you can't defend it with your knight, because this pawn's going to queen. So you're just going to be a draw. But if you take my pawn, now you're looking good. Okay, however, hold on. Now this is the part you're going to mess up. Don't mess up. You promise you won't mess up?
Yes.
As long as you promise. White has one move that wins.
Oh!
Bathroom's down the hall. You raised your hand, didn't scream. I can't believe it.
King G6.
King where?
G6.
King G6, then I go take your pawn.
no.
Oh.
I'm going to go get him. Yeah. Yeah. If King G6 was right, I don't want to be wrong. I don't know. You!
A3.
A3.
Oh.
I don't get it. You guys are good at losing your A pawn. You ain't going to win without that. Now I'm going to go take it.
Never play
You!
A4. King E5.
Correct. If you play A4, I go take your pawn.
Yep.
I'm not even kidding. I'm kidding a little, but I'm not kidding at all. I go get him.
Okay.
And if you're like, oh, you can't take my pawn, I'll play King E6. I'm still going to take your pawn. You know, I'm going to take your pawn, I guarantee it. Okay. Although at some point, maybe I'll play H5 and win. Okay. King E5 stops me from taking your pawn. Wait, what did I do? Okay, King E5. You should have found King E5 because I gave you the movie hint. They forgot the hint. Is the movie going to sue me? I hope so. They need some money somehow. Now I'm going to tell you a secret that none of you know. In the movie, the kid who plays Josh, okay, he has the friend, Morgan, this little kid he's friends with. Morgan's dad, the father, who's played by David Paymer, I think, he later became Chess Life editor, the person he's portraying. Chess Life's the magazine out there on the table. He was the editor of the magazine for years. Yeah. Morgan got to like 1800 and then he's like, okay, that's enough. All right. Now everybody queens, just like in the movie, right? Now in the movie, he queens and loses his queen. He can't believe he's in check or loses his queen, even though he's supposed to be an expert or a master. He's like, oh, you checked me and took my queen. What? Okay, but this is real life. This isn't a movie. So we don't lose our queen in real life. In the movie, this is what happens, right?
Yeah.
This is real life. We play king here. And after queen, we go here.
Yeah. Just keep checking.
Now, if the white king was away, this is a known draw. This is a draw. But the king on e5 is just close enough to win. Just close enough. What we do is we give him a check, give him another check, and then we move our king. Hooray! And then when he queens, we move our king again.
Oh.
Roasted.
Wow.
Yep. And white wins. The truth hurts.
Of course.
Yeah. Now, even though that was many, that's not good for a movie. We don't want to see that. We want to see queen takes queen. Yeah. Also, when he queened, he said check. His opponent's like, what? I'm in check. Then he only resigned after he took the queen. He didn't resign before that. Oh, okay, he took my queen.
No, maybe he could blow.
All right, movies are like real life, except not. Oh. And the kid that movie's about, he became world chess champion.
Oh.
Why was the movie made about a kid? Raise your hand if you know why. You! Incorrect.
Okay, it's about Josh, a kid,
Right.
who becomes like a master.
Yeah, but a lot of kids do that. Why is there a movie about him?
I don't know.
Exactly. The reason's very funny. There was a book written about the kid by his dad, and they made the book a movie. Dad's like, my kid's great. I'm like, okay, I'll make a movie. So have your parents write a book about how great you are and make a movie out of it. Yeah. Okay, and then Black resigns because I said so. Also, he turned the engine on, and Black super resigns. Right? It says mate in 4, mate in 3. This is the best move. That way you get mated the slowest. So if your opponent has 1 second left in a blitz game, you go there and you're good. Like, I mean, it takes 4 moves to mate you.
1 second.
You're laughing, but that's exactly what GMs do. Like, 2 seconds, queen h4 check. And you guys are like, here, and they go there, and you're like, aw.
Oh.
Yeah, you gotta last as many moves in blitz chess. Yeah, that's what happens. Speaking of blitz chess, we're having a blitz tournament Friday night, and every Friday night. So remember that if you have this position against me, queen h4, I'll be like, you learned it in the class. So in the end game, activate your king, queen your pawns, and calculate and do the right thing. What's the right thing? Move up your king, advance your passed pawns, activate your rook. But there's no rook, you don't have to do that. Okay? Always in the end game, when I show the positions, the person with the better king is doing well. This king is not good. If that king was anywhere that was normal, okay, this is a draw, right? But put him here where the queen's trapped, then no good. This king is great. Put that king anywhere else, draw.
No.
Anywhere else. Well, you could lose. Put this king anywhere else, but you put it just right, where one king's great and one king's not great, then you lose. So that was a good problem as long as we cut off the beginning where he was wrong. We just put the part where he was right, right?
Yeah. Right.
All right, and as Gene Wilder said in Young Frankenstein, they don't know
Class
nothing.
dismissed.
Right, class is dismissed.